The SAG Award nominations came out a couple days ago, and I'm going to give you my honest reaction to all the nominees. Hey everybody, welcome back to Showtime and Sidelines, where I'm going to be reviewing the nominees for the Screen Actors Guild Awards and tell you what I loved and what I hated, what I think could be better, who I think got snubbed, and everything in between. The first category I'm looking at is Outstanding Action Performance by a Stunt Ensemble in a Motion Picture. Here we have Deadpool and Wolverine, Dune Part 2, The Fall Guy, Gladiator 2, and Wicked. So I think right off the bat, Wicked is not winning this one. I don't really remember any stunt performances from that movie. I know there's those big wheels in Dancing Through Life, and that's definitely impressive, but I don't know if it counts for me for stunt ensemble, especially when you have things like The Fall Guy and Gladiator 2, where there's guys, fighting, dying, getting shot at, running away from moving cars and chariots and stuff like that. I could see Doom Part 2 getting this as well with all those big battles and fight sequences, and same with Deadpool and Wolverine. If I were going to give this to one of those, I would probably pick Gladiator 2, just based off the scale of the stunt performances, but I could see it going to any of those four, to be completely honest, just definitely not Wicked. Kind of a weird nomination there. The next category is Outstanding Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture. Here we have A Complete Unknown, Anora, Conclave, Amelia Perez, and Wicked. I think if I were going to pick a winner, it would have to be Conclave or Anora. I have a feeling this is probably going to Wicked, just based off how much hype every cast member has gotten from this movie. I don't think it's necessarily a deserved win. I would definitely probably give it to Anora or Conclave, but I think, movies like Amelia Perez being nominated here is a miss. Movies, honestly, like Wicked being nominated here is kind of a miss. I think Challengers was right there with just the scale of those three lead performances. I guess they were really looking at full ensemble, but then I'm also wondering, why don't you nominate The Brutalist, where you have Guy Pearce, Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, Joe Alwyn, just off the top of my head, that are all just absolutely incredible in this movie. I mean, that is an ensemble piece in itself. Obviously, that film is Adrian Brody for 3.5 hours, but you can't ignore the ensemble performances. Doom Part 2 not getting a nomination here is insane. I think Saturday Night is better than a lot of these movies. Gladiator could have gotten a nomination for this as well. I think there's just a lot of missed movies that weren't nominated. Like A Real Pain. Easily a better ensemble performance than Amelia Perez. Are you kidding me? That's just insane to me, but it is what it is. It really looks like the voters are loving Amelia Perez. I'm hoping after the reaction from the Golden Globes, the Oscars steers away from that film, but you never know. The Oscars gave Green Book Best Picture, so anything can happen. Next is Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Supporting Role. Here we have Monica Barbaro for Joan Baez in A Complete Unknown, Jamie Lee Curtis as Annette in The Last Showgirl, Danielle Deadweiler as Bernice in The Piano Lesson, Ariana Grande as Galinda in Wicked, and Zoe Saldana as Rita in Amelia Perez. I think at this point, Zoe Saldana is probably running away with every Best Supporting Actress award. Maybe Ariana Grande wins here. I could see SAG voters loving that performance. I'm kind of shocked that Monica Barbaro got nominated for A Complete Unknown and we're not seeing Felicity Jones here, because I think Felicity Jones is the best female supporting performance of the year, but now I'm kind of worried that she might not see as much love as I was hoping she would get. I also think Isabella Rossellini not getting here makes sense to me because I didn't understand why she got nominated at the Globes, but it is interesting to not see her here. Danielle Deadweiler, I thought was going to be a early frontrunner for this award in this entire season, and then she missed at the Globes, and I was kind of like, oh, is The Piano Lesson going to be completely looked over? I thought it was a good movie. I thought her performance especially was kind of the shining star of that film, but I'm happy to see her nominated here. Jamie Lee Curtis makes sense. I haven't seen The Last Showgirl, but SAG voters are going to love her. And yeah, there's just some confusing things here with Monica Barbaro, because I think Elle Fanning is just as good as she is, but I guess voting wise, they just wanted to go with Monica Barbaro. Well, I probably would have put Felicity Jones in that slot. I understand why SAG voters would love it. She's singing, she's playing instruments, she's a big catalyst in Bob Dylan's story in that film, and so it makes sense to me. Next category is Outstanding Performance by a Male Actor in a Supporting Role. Here we see Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero in Wicked, Yura Borisov as Igor in Anora, Kieran Culkin as Benji in A Real Pain, Edward Norton as Pete Seeger, A Complete Unknown, and Jeremy Strong as Roy Cohn in The Apprentice. These all really make sense to me. The one that I would take out is Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero and putting Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. It's sad to see The Brutalist kind of getting snubbed at these awards, especially when those performances in that film are incredible. And you would think that the Screen Actors Guild would recognize how incredible those performances are, but it's very clear that they were very impressed by the singing and dancing of Wicked and A Complete Unknown and wanted to give that its flowers. Jeremy Strong still getting nominations for The Apprentice is surprising to me, just based off the election cycle and the world that we're living in right now. But I guess people did go out and see that movie and saw the great performances that were in it. I think that's a deserved nomination. Maybe he gets the Oscar nom after, 2 consecutive big award shows getting nominated. I could see maybe him sneaking into the Oscars. Kieran Culkin is a clear frontrunner. I'm happy to see Yura Borisov still getting love. I really hope he gets that Oscar nomination. Denzel Washington not being here is interesting to me. I can see why the Screen Actors Guild would not be particularly fond of this huge blockbuster that is Gladiator and think that maybe it doesn't deserve the acting awards, but I think Denzel is particularly incredible in that film, and I would probably put him over both Edward Norton and Jonathan Bailey. I think those two are just the most confusing when you have guys like Guy Pearce and Denzel Washington, and even the two boys from Challengers, a couple people from Saturday Night, even Conclave. I think all had better supporting performances than those two men, but that's okay. The Screen Actors Guild, it makes sense why Jonathan Bailey and Edward Norton would get the nomination here. Outstanding performance by a female actor in a leading role was Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carlos Sofia Gascon in Amelia Perez, Mikey Madison in Anora, and Demi Moore in The Substance. This might be the lineup we're looking at for the rest of award season, which, if you know me, is a little disappointing because I loved Angelina Jolie and Maria, but I haven't seen The Last Showgirl, and I think that's the slot that Angelina Jolie lost out on. Screen Actors Guild makes sense why they would love this story for Pamela Anderson, and I'm sure she's fantastic. I'm excited to see the film. It's just releasing in theaters, so I'm going to catch it soon. But I really wanted to see Angelina Jolie here. I thought the Screen Actors Guild would love, this biopic of her playing Maria Callas and her, singing live for a lot of the movie. But I'm sure Pamela Anderson is fantastic. She has an incredible story with this nomination and this whole award season and this film. Cynthia Erivo, we knew was going to happen. Mikey Madison and Demi Moore, we all knew those three were going to get in at pretty much every awards show. Carlos Sofia Gascon is the one where I'm still like, I don't understand it. I understand perhaps the story and the message of Amelia Perez and getting that film nominated, but I don't think her performance is particularly strong in that movie. I think Zoe Saldana really carries the performances in that film, and anybody else being nominated is really confusing to me. I think she's probably going to end up at the Oscars when it should be countless other people like Zendaya, Nicole Kidman, Angelina Jolie. I think those three performances are all better than Carlos Sofia Gascon, but it is what it is. And for the final category, it is Outstanding Performance by a Male Actor in a Leading Role. That went to Adrien Brody for The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Daniel Craig for Queer, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, and Ralph Fiennes for Conclave. Again, same as the female category, I think this is probably the 5 that we're going to see at the Oscars. The only one that I could see missing out is Daniel Craig for Queer and being replaced with Sebastian Stan for A Different Man. But of course, Daniel Craig is getting a lot of love for Queer, and I loved his performance. But those are just the 2 that I could see switching out. It's going to be one of those 2 to complete the 5, but the other 4 make complete sense. They're going to get nominated for the rest of the season, and they all deserve that nomination. I think Adrien Brody gives the best performance, but I could see SAG giving the love to Timothée Chalamet, especially looking at the other nominees with Edward Norton and Melissa Barbaro. I think Timothée Chalamet might get the win here and maybe lose to Adrien Brody at every other award show. But Screen Actors Guild, they're going to love the biopic, and I think it might go to Timothée Chalamet. There's a world where it goes to Coleman Domingo and a world where it goes to Ralph Fiennes, but I think where I had Ray Fiennes at third place for this entire season, I think he's kind of falling behind just because not that many people are, caring about Conclave when there's things like The Brutalist and A Complete Unknown and Sing Sing that are really taking over the film cinephile sphere right now. So I think Ray Fiennes might just miss out on every award this season, which is unfortunate because he gives one of the top performances of the year, and it's clear in all the nominations that he's getting, but I just don't think he's getting a win. Whereas I could see Coleman Domingo perhaps sneaking in a win, and Daniel Craig even sneaking in a win, and obviously Timothée Chalamet and Adrian Brody are fighting for that 1 and 2 slot. It's going to be interesting to watch, and I'm excited to see who gets the win here. And that is my reaction to the Screen Actors Guild Awards nominations. I think nearly every performance and every nomination makes sense to me. I can kind of rationalize it in my mind, even if I don't completely agree. I'm interested to see the way that the awards fall when the night comes, but I'm very excited to see the rest of this award season and see the Screen Actors Guild give out some awards. Thank you so much for tuning in to Showtime and Sidelines. Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell if you want to see more reaction videos and film discussion. I have a lot more coming out soon, so stay tuned and have a good one.